Hey guys, I'm Shawn Cheek of webpianoteacher.com. Today we're going to learn a song by Sarah McLachlan called Building a Mystery. Let's take a listen. All right. So this one has melody in the right hand, as you can tell. So it's going to be kind of serve both purposes. If you're someone who likes to just learn the chords and play along with the song or sing it, or if you like melody in the right hand, it's going to kind of do both of those things for you. So you'll be able to do either one. So let's get started here. So on my website, if you are a member, you can download my sheets for this. And there's about 6 sheets, something like that. And right now I'm doing a $1 trial. So you get a full 7 days, no gimmicks, no tricks, $1, and you get to try it out, see if it works for you. Some people just love this way of learning, and that's how I've been able to make a living for 20 years doing it and keep going strong. So let's go. All right, so still getting used to my scroller here. It's pretty cool, but kind of weird getting used to it because I'm used to having left foot on the soft pedal, and now I'm, scrolling, but we'll get used to it. So this is the intro. All right, so I'm trying to capture there's an organ in it, there's a bass, there's a guitar part, and so I'm trying to just taking all of that and putting it into an arrangement that sounds great on the piano. The piano can do that like no other instrument. So you're really blessed to be able to play one. So here's the intro, D with the right hand. Then we're going to add a C sharp and then an A. And that's what the guitar does, right? The very beginning. All right. Then I'm going to come in with the left hand with a B and an F sharp, which is we call that a B5 if you just look at the left hand, but if you look at the right hand too, we're actually doing a B minor chord, B, D, F sharp, okay? So if we add that to the beginning, so after I play that B, F sharp, the right hand's gonna come in, same F sharp, and yeah, you could play that with your left hand if you wanted because it's already there, but the point is to play the F sharp again, and then B, D, F sharp, okay? So, all right, so no problem playing that F sharp with your left hand. I just kind of did it with my right when I was transcribing it. Okay, then the bass goes A, G. So we're going to do that. A, G. When we play that G, the right hand's going to do a G chord, G, B, D. Okay? So if you've never thought about chords when you play, you should. They are a roadmap, okay? Oh. That's my side camera. I use that for the elbow movement sometimes when we need to, have good elbow movement when we're playing. Anyway, so if you've never thought about chords when you are playing, you should. If you're doing the falling blocks with the video game stuff, that's, okay, I guess if you're just going to learn one song and don't really want to become a musician. But if you want to know what you're doing and actually have some knowledge that you can take with you to other songs, then you need to start thinking about chords if you haven't. So B minor, B, D, F sharp, G chord, G, B, D. You're going to see those chords all the time if you play music, all right? So G chord, and then we're going to do a G again. You already played it when you played the G chord, so just play it again. And then you go to B, E, and then a G, okay? All right, I'm going to play the left hand one more time there. So if we try that one, let's do the pickup notes too, because that's not too much to do. Work on that one little part until you can play that. The biggest mistake people make, I did it again. I will use that camera from time to time, but not now, not yet. The biggest mistake I think people make is they try to bite off more than they can chew. Either they try a song that's too hard, okay? If you're a beginner, you need beginner lessons. So it isn't that the people teaching in the video is going too fast, you're not ready for that. If that's the case, well, they might be going too fast, but a lot of times people will try stuff that's too hard, or they try too much at one time. Okay, take one measure at a time, one line at a time. All right, that's the best way to do it. So practice that until you can do that. You know, give yourself an 80. Okay, work on that over and over again, okay? And then when you're ready, you try the next measure. So you're not supposed to be able to keep up with me in a live, video as the video keeps rolling. If you can, you might be able to just play without me. So make use of the pause button. Also on the website, we have a slow down function, so you can slow the video down if you want to do that. And I got like 10,000 lessons on the site and counting. I also have beginner lessons. If you just need straight, very beginner, we have that. D chord on this, A, D, F sharp, left hand on a D. I'm going to play that A next. I'm not going to play the A too loud, though. I don't want it to sound like this. Then it sounds like a computer. And they don't want to sound like a computer. We want to sound like a human. And so we're going to play the melody louder, and that's just an offbeat. Now we're going to, after we play the D chord, A, D, F sharp, okay? And if you know chords, you know that they can be in inversions. So A, D, F sharp, if you put the A on top, then you can clearly see it's D, F, A D chord, okay? This is called a suspension, A, D, E. So kind of a melody on top, E, D. Then when I kind of smacked that, but play that D again, and then make sure you change the pedal when the letter changes on the left hand, because that's a signal the chord is changing. An A chord here, A, C sharp E, it's in what we call root position, so it's easy to see what that chord is. A on the left hand, D on the thumb, and I call this a country third. Okay, it's kind of my own little invention, my own little term. D on the thumb, E and A, 2 and 5, then F sharp on the third finger. And if you say, well, there's other people on YouTube that call it country third, well, I was the first one in 2006 or 7, whenever it was. But it just sounds country, doesn't it? All right, so and then we're going to go back to B minor. But before we do that, remember, we want to stay in small sections. So go back and attach this measure to what you've already learned and see if you can play it from the beginning to that point. Okay, just play that over and over, put it on a loop, I say. And when I say that, I mean you're just looping it. You're taking a certain section and you're playing it over and over again with a good repetition. Okay, make sure you're going slow enough to get it right, because if you're going fast enough to get it wrong, then you're going to be memorizing the mistake that you continually make every time. You ever find that you keep making the same mistake because you've reinforced the mistake? You got to go slow enough to get it right, however slow that is, and you'll have to pause, and you won't be in tempo, and you'll have to take time, and that's what everyone else has to do anyway. So that's just part of the process. As we move on, let's try the next measure. So this is going back to the B minor, okay? And I arranged it a little bit differently because the instruments play a little differently. So it's B minor, but we're doing it sort of a little bit different way. So that's B, D, F sharp, left hand on it, B, F sharp, B on the thumb, B, D, F sharp. And I'm accenting the first one and the third one. The B on the thumb's kind of a placeholder. Then I go to A after that. Then I go to G, B, D, left hand on a G. Then a G on the thumb, so. Now make sure I change my pedal on the G. And then, so I'm going to start right there. I'm just going to kind of memorize that. Because the measure finishes over here. The count 4 happens there. I just ran out of room over there. And if you notice, my notation is on a staff lightly in the background, because I want you to see that the way that I write things out is not much different than a actual staff. Okay, so it's not something completely different and removed from regular music notation. I just write the name of the note there instead of the note head. So many years ago, I started doing that in my private lessons because people were having so much trouble learning to read music, they were going to quit if if things didn't get better. So I started writing this way, doing songs that people actually wanted to play instead of out of the books that we all know. So I'm kind of a non-traditional teacher that way, but it works for a lot of people. So if you're someone that's going, hey, this is weird, but this is kind of clicking for me, you're not alone. That's happened to millions of people over the past 20 years, and it works for some people. And for many people, it works better than the way they were doing it. So if we start up there again, then we're going to go to the D chord again, but again, a little bit different way. And then live in a church. So Sarah starts singing that. So I have the melody in there, but I'm still having the accompaniment as well. So I'm trying to, make it still sound like the recording, but have the melody in there without sounding like elevator music. Okay, I hate that when things just sound like elevator music and they got the melody in the right hand and it doesn't really have the spirit or the soul or the beat of the song. So I want it to sound like the real thing. So let's try this next measure here. D octave in the left hand, D chord on the right, A, D, F sharp, and it's in a different order. It's not D, F sharp, A. The A's on the bottom, but it's still a D chord. The melody's on top though. Ba, 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 F sharp. Then I'm going to keep the A and the D. If you ever have successive chords in a row, always look for the notes that stay the same. There's usually one or two notes that stay the same. Those are your anchor. And then it's easier to see the notes that do change. It's a little tip for you there. Always look, even if you have really big chords. So look at the A and the D stay the same. All right, so the little dashes I have are typically in this song are going to be eighth notes. 1 and 2 and then I'll have some slurs for the 16ths. It's not an exact science, but it's a visual to help you get that rhythm, especially if you already know the song. A, D, A. And if you're learning from this lesson, you probably do know the song and excited about playing it. A, D, A, flip to D. If that's too hard to do the whole thing, just do the top. You can leave the A out on the bottom. Right? Who cares? If you have to leave a note out sometimes just to be able to play it, don't let the whole song be ruined just because you have trouble with a little section of it. D, A, flip to E, D, A, C sharp A, then another C sharp. You live in I think that's the first, but that's where she starts singing. Okay, so now we're doing melody while keeping the accompaniment going with the rest of it. All right, so you're getting a whole lot in this lesson 1. D there, you live in a church. So that's B, F sharp, left hand on B, F sharp. Then you go E, D, da, 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 B, E, H. When you do the A, then you go to G, D, and then the right hand, B, D, G, B, D, A, as you keep the D in the left hand. So starting that D. So that's not melody line, that's just the accompaniment, right? And da, 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 da. That's where the energy comes. Da, da, da. All right. So you go back and try to attach it, right? You go maybe back a measure. Okay. So now it's D, A, D, then a D in the right hand. A, D up. I'm using 1 and 2. D, F sharp with 2, 4. And then as I'm holding that F sharp, I come in with the A, E, A. And then E, D, E. So. And then A, B, B, D, B. All right, so that's B and D. B and F sharp on the left hand. All right. Left, right. Ba, ba, ba. Like that. Ba, ba, ba. Now I'm going to try Okay, we're still going to do repetition when we practice. I told you one reason why people usually quit or give up or have trouble is because they pick something that's too hard, or they're trying too much at one time. The other thing is they don't know how to practice, okay? So I've been showing you how to practice here, a way that's worked for me forever, my whole life, classical music, no matter what I'm learning. And it's how I teach all my students, how I teach in all my lessons. And that is what we're about to do right here. So we did repetition on one measure, and then we tried a couple of measures together. Well, as you begin to piece these measures together, then you can do repetitions of larger sections, okay? So now we're going to try 2 lines. So same idea here, same principle, but now that we kind of, at this point, you might be on day 3 or 4 before you get to this point, and that's okay. But now you're ready to try 2 lines. So go back to the beginning and... My lyrics are wrong, but you see how it goes. So you do put that on a loop. Try that for a while, and then you're ready for the 3rd line. This is an extra long part 1, way longer than I usually do, but I just feel like doing that today, so let's keep going. So we have a 3rd line. Take a look at that. I'm making use of all my phones. In my house, there's a phone to switch the camera. There's a phone to, put up here on the screen, and then another one listening to the song as I go through and teach it. It's funny. All right, so. So that measure, da-da-da, so bop, bop. Okay, so that one's kind of tough on this big screen because you can't see both, but da-da-da-da. All right, so da-da-da. Then you have another F sharp. Then you have A in the left, B in the right, B, E in the right. That sounds kind of weird all by itself, isolated, going slow, but in the movement of the song, in the regular flow, it's going to be just fine. A, G, D, G, na, 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 na. Then, all right, so A, B real quick there. If I go up a measure, you might have to try that measure over and over for a while. Oh, boom. We go to a D chord here. Okay. Some of you wonder, what about theory? What about technique? What about everything else? I teach that as I'm teaching the fun songs. My philosophy is, why make a curriculum where you're studying theory and workbooks and, and technique exercises and all of that mess, when you can learn it in the songs you're playing? Okay. If I'm, going to teach chords, let's learn chords while we're learning this song. Let's actually apply it to the real reason we want to learn it in the first place, okay? You can waste a lot of time doing the wrong thing when you're practicing. You can waste a lot of time on exercises and all this stuff people do thinking it's going to accomplish their dream. When your dream is, I want to play fun songs that I like. So if that's your goal, then, find a teacher who's going to teach you those fun songs, but teach you, the theory and the chords and the technique and how to pedal and all those stuff while you're learning to play it. Or you're never going to keep doing it if you don't like it, okay? And that is true. You can take that to the bank, whether you use my lessons or someone else's. Now, all right, so this next measure, a lot going on there. Sounds pretty cool, huh? And I'm going to show you what to leave out if it's too hard. And learn to do that. Just if something's really hard, one little place, leave it out. And you can always say, well, later I'll put it in. Because you can always add it later. And don't let it ruin the whole song for you just because of one little part that's difficult. F sharp, A, D. Left hand on an A. So together, left, right, left. Ba, 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 ba. So there's a little bit of personal taste in here. I'm adding some little licks that I feel like are helpful to the flow of the song that aren't necessarily an instrument playing that I think sound good on the keyboard. D, A, E, A. As I play that E on the left hand, it's going to play an A. You can see where the notes line up. That's how you read this music. That's how you read regular music notation. When they line up, you play them together. And if you have trouble remembering which ones play together sometimes, just if you print out my sheets on the website, just make a little line. Just draw a line between them. That's a help. This is an A chord, A, E, A. You say, well, where's the C sharp? It's in the right hand. When you're figuring out chords, you have to look many times at both hands, not just one. And a D in the right, E in the left, C sharp, and then an A. So one more A. So this measure goes da 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 da. Again, it's really cool. It's really rhythmic, right? Because you want to have that. If it doesn't have that, I don't think it sounds like the song. It just sounds like elevator music. See, oh yeah, you wear your whatever that is. I thought she was saying something else all these years. Looking at the lyrics, you wear your Astor wear or something. She was saying something else. You can guess. You probably thought that too when you first heard it. Now you hear that little meow, meow, meow. Now when people are singing, they'll sing a little blues. No, 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 no. This isn't a blues song, but people will sing blues notes. Okay, when they're singing many times in pop music and rock music and all of that, and a guitar can just bend the string and get a blues note, and that's when they're being. That's what a blues note is. But on when someone's singing, they'll do that as well. But we're trying to emulate that on the piano. So that's how we do that. That's how we can bend the note. If you hear blues. That's all this is. There's a note between D sharp and E. And I'm getting that blues sound. Na, 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 na. That's what these are for. If they don't work for you, don't worry about doing them. But I put a little hook on the F. And what I mean by that, this is an intermediate at least lesson, maybe a little more advanced. So if you're having a lot of trouble and you're a beginner, that's why. But you can still learn some things from this. So I play the F natural and the A at the same time with 2 and 5, and I flip it up to F sharp to get the meow meow. Okay, I do that twice in a row, and on this one I do E and A, but I have the little hook going down on a blues going down meow. So I do kind of F and A or F to E. Actually play all three of them together and just flick the middle finger on the F. So it's 1, just the right hand. So D on the thumb, and then to E and A, do do do. And the next page will have more, but left hand. Boy, this is a long part 1 for YouTube, but that's okay. B at F sharp. F sharp, so all of that is one position. Then we move to the G, D, G. D, G, D. So it's. So we get the blues stuff. If you just have trouble and just can't do that, then don't worry about it. Then you don't do any of the hooks. But if you want to do the hooks, I think it sounds pretty cool. Now, so you've done all of these 3 lines, you've worked on all 3 of them. And some of you, it might take, a couple of weeks doing this. Some of you, a couple of days. And if you're really advanced, maybe just a day or an hour or maybe less, depending on where your skill level is. Now you're going to try the whole page, okay? And this is the way that you work on stuff. You have a system. Keep a little journal. Keep track of what you do so that you have something to be accountable to for yourself. If you just blindly, sit down for X amount of time and just try to hope something happens, that never works, okay? You always burn out and fizzle out. Have a strategy, a system, whatever you do, have something in place. Now let's try... all 3 lines. Now that's pretty small, and I can barely see it myself, but I want to have all 3 lines up there so that I can do it all. Okay, so here's the top. The next line. So if you made it this far, congratulations. People are so short attention span today that they can't sit through a real lesson. I have a lot of good stuff to tell you, even on these free part 1s on YouTube. So if you made it to the end, let me know in the comments. Just the cream of the crop will make it to the very end. Everyone else who's going to quit will fall off in the first couple of minutes. So, this is a journey, and you're going to have to work hard, but you can have fun on the journey. Pick songs that you can play. Pick a lot of songs that are fairly easy. Play a lot of them every day. Even if they're not perfect, that's fine. But the amount, quantity over quality, and the quality will come from playing these songs that are not very hard over and over again every day, even when you get sick of them. Play them, 50, 100 times over the course of several months. Then you're going to start to get better. And it doesn't seem like that's the way it works. It seems like, I need to play really hard songs to get better. Nope, that's not going to make you better. That's going to make you frustrated, make you quit. Trust me, I've been doing this my whole life. I'm in my 50s now, and I've seen it. I've been teaching my whole life. And that's what happens, okay? So play a lot of things that you love that aren't too hard over and over. Keep a repertoire. Be able to drop a song if it's too hard. Drop it, okay? Pick another one. There's lots of songs. There's no reason to be stubborn and say, I have to do this one. Okay, but maybe later. Maybe take a break and go to something else. And you don't have to finish a song. Maybe you go, half of it and you're not feeling it anymore. That's okay. You still got a lot out of the half that you did, but still practice. Don't give up. Keep playing more things. Keep trying new things. It takes a lot of time to find that repertoire, okay? You'll have to, you'll get into a song, this isn't for me. Okay, find another one. So take time to pick things that are arrangements that are going to work for you that aren't too hard, okay? It's okay to challenge yourself a little bit, but trying to just leap over all this foundational stuff that you need and go to the top, that doesn't work, because even if you manage to learn a really difficult arrangement, you have no idea what you did. It's like when I put together a computer just by buying the parts on a YouTube video, and I put it together watching the guy. I had no idea what I was doing, and somehow it worked when I turned it on, but I didn't learn anything because I didn't go through all the things that I need to go if I wanted to be a computer guy. Which I didn't. I just want to see if I could do it. But if I wanted to be a computer guy, tech guy, then I would need to learn what a motherboard does, what this does, what a cooling system does for a gaming computer and all this stuff. I just follow the directions and managed to do it, but I didn't learn anything. So you have to go through all the stuff that everyone else does to learn, but you can have fun doing it, and you can play great songs. There's lots of great songs that aren't that hard to play in the original form, okay? But you have to spend a little time finding those. So little advice for you there. A lot of advice, actually. I gave you a lot of good advice in this video. See you on the website. We'll finish all of this, and there's thousands more lessons to go through as well. Hope you guys enjoy it.